did. Okay, you guys, so the last section on this first page is talking about how are aromatics obtained and used. So we just talked quite a bit about how they're used, right? So let's talk about how they're obtained. Essential oils and hydrosols are products of distillation of plant materials. So the most widely recognized aromatics are essential oils right now. And they're products of distillation of plant material and cold pressing of citrus fruits, okay? Essential oils sometimes also refer to the solvent extractions of floral materials. So for those really, really delicate flowers, some of those essential oils are not steam distilled, but they're solvent extracted, okay? So steam distillation is the most common form of distillation. But to kind of walk you through what the distillation process is, looking at this image here, this is kind of like a laboratory distillation setup, okay? So at the bottom left, you see there's the little beautiful Bunsen burner. And then you have the flask, and the flask contains a liquid. So right now we're going to call that liquid water. And then imagine that that liquid is also covering plant material. Okay, so whether it's lemon rinds, whether it's peppermint leaves, whether it is cinnamon bark. Okay, one of those, or you can imagine whichever plant material you want, is inside of that liquid. Okay, so this would be for the water distillation process. Then the Bunsen burner is going to heat up the liquid, okay, which is going to cause steam to rise to the top of the flask. And then it's going to hit the very, very top, and then it's going to condense, and as it's condensing, it's going to go down this tube that you see coming down the side. Because if it goes the other way, it's going to hit the heat again, and it's going to come back up. Okay, so it's going to eventually find its way down that tube apparatus in the middle of the picture, and then it's going to drop into the Florentine flask. I believe that's the name of it. If we have any biologists or chemists, let me know if I got that wrong. On the other side, okay, and that's where the hydrosol and the essential oil are going to be collected. Now, the water-based distillation is what was used right in the Indus Valley and what was used in the early section of aromatherapy. But we know, who was it? I believe it was Avicenna, who created the refrigerated coil. So Avicenna was a renowned physician throughout Europe and India. In Europe, he was known as Avicenna, and he is known as creating the refrigerated coil. So in current day, big manufacturing distillation, rather than a simple tube coming down the center, they'd actually have a refrigerated coil coming down to help condense the evaporative fluid from the distillation process into the liquid form again. So the water distillation is the first form. Now we use most products, manufacturers, distillers are using a steam distillation, where instead of having the water be inside the plant material, they're heating the water up separately, and then they're forcing steam, pressurizing the steam and forcing the steam through the plant material. And this is a cleaner method of distillation, which also doesn't destroy the plant matter. It's not saturating it in water, so it has a purer scent of the plant, and it also has better chemical potency. Okay, now another method of extraction that is more recent and has been used more frequently and is available in both Aromatics International and Lotus Garden Botanical are CO2 extracted essential oils. So the CO2 extraction method is using compressed carbon dioxide. So in a CO2 extraction, you only have the essential oil collected at the end of the process. There is no water because there was no steam used, there was no water used, and the carbon dioxide simply evaporates out. So CO2 extraction happens at a much lower temperature because it doesn't even need to be steam. It doesn't even need to be a high enough temperature to cause water vapors, right? And so CO2 extracted essential oils also have a very, very pure scent, and they contain slightly different chemical constituents because they have chemical constituents that are able to be retained at that lower temperature, which is really, really cool. Okay, so, but also something that we need to know, right? So if I'm talking to you about cold pressed citrus essential oil, and I'm telling you that it has certain therapeutic properties, and then you go and you purchase a CO2 distilled citrus oil, it's going to have slightly different properties. Okay, so we want to be aware of how our essential oils have been procured. The other note is that with hydrosols, a lot of times to get the proper properties in the hydrosol, the distillation process happens at, again, lower temperatures, and the plant material is distilled several times in order to get a very potent hydrosol for you rather than just having it distilled once. So it's a slightly different method, and so most of the times you're not going to get a therapeutic hydrosol as well as a therapeutic essential oil. The plant product is distilled for one or the other. Okay? Couple of other things to note regarding the differences between the essential oil and the hydrosol. The essential oils do not contain any plant material in them. Okay? So any plant material that might have transponded into the essential oil would have been filtered out during the collection process. However, the hydrosol does contain some of the plant material in it. Okay, so especially if you have any type of allergies, you want to ensure that you're not using that product as a hydrosol because it does have more of the plant material in it, more aspects of the plant material in it than the essential oil. Okay, and the other thing to note is that the hydrosols are not going to be pure to scent of the plants, okay, because the hydrosol is not just the plant volatile oils, right? So lavender hydrosol is not going to smell like lavender. Okay, Roman chamomile hydrosol is not going to smell like Roman chamomile essential oil. Okay, so that's just good to note. So they're not always used in perfumery in those regards. Okay, any questions about that, please let me know, and we'll see you on the next page.